You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Folks, this year the big game is not just for football fans. It's time to go all in on food. Tums and DraftKings have teamed up to create a free-to-play pool so you can get in on the action and keep on snacking. There's a share of $10,000 up for grabs. To take home the cheddar, just make the right picks about America's game day grub. Play free in the Tums Prop Bites pool on DraftKings to score big without the burn. Learn more at TumsPropBites.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Billy, do you think that anyone in Ravens in-game festivities or marketing, when they brought out Terrell Suggs emotionally late in the game to fire up the crowd and show his championship ring off to people, do you think that anyone in Ravens front office or marketing took inventory of the fact that the last championship Terrell Suggs won, it was for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I don't think that they were thinking that.
I'm also just learning this information too.
I knew that because it was the Super Bowl that was down here, and I had the task of, for ESPN Radio, running around and handing my phone to players so that they could join Mike Tannenbaum's Super Bowl recap live on ESPN Radio. And I got Terrell Suggs. He was the person that I got. I ran up and I gave him the phone, and he got the exclusive with Mike Tannenbaum right after the game. And I was very nervous, one, that my phone was going to die, two, that I wasn't going to have reception, and three, that he was just going to run away with my phone, because I heard stories headed into it that players had taken people's phones before. They just got so excited, and they went into the locker room, and then you don't have access to the locker room, and then your phone is gone, and then you have to find someone that can go in there and find your phone. It's a whole thing. So it was a very stressful thing. It was my first time that I was covering the Super Bowl at the game, so I didn't want to let the bosses down. So I got Terrell Suggs, and then I didn't successfully get anyone else. But I heard they were very excited because they got Terrell Suggs before he was on TV, which is a big get, even though he didn't really factor that much into the game.
People do seem to be freaking out about this being a rematch from the game that happened like right before the COVID-19 shutdown during the last election cycle. So I don't know. Maybe this will like undo the curse. Maybe the Niners win this one and things go back to normal now.
It's
Probably
weird.
Not.
It feels like a nostalgic Super Bowl, even though they last played 4 years ago. So much about the world has changed since their last matchup that I'm a little worried something bad is going to happen at 4 weeks after the Super Bowl.
Can't get worse.
Is this where we're at, where we're now afraid of things that are imaginary?
Yes.
We've
been there, Billy.
Really? You think that if the 49ers win, it's not going to undo COVID? I have bad
I didn't
news
know
for
I was doing the
everybody.
show with John McClane.
Maybe my great aunt will come back to life. Who knows?
Kansas City in that game, I think people get forgetful about how badly outcoached Kansas City was in that game. They don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, and they converted some third and something ridiculous to Tyreek Hill with a flutter ball.
Yes.
But like with Garoppolo, San Francisco was a pass away from winning that game, and Kansas City had to come back because they got smothered with a much better offense than the one they're going into this game with. They got smothered most of that game.
Double-digit lead in that one.
I think it's the fifth time in NFL history there's been a rematch of coaches in the Super Bowl. And, of course, we have Tom Coughlin beating Bill Belichick twice. But all 4 other times, the coach that won the first time won the second time. That's amazing.
I'm just ready for all the AI-written blog posts and articles on they showed you why they went with Brock Purdy over Jimmy Garoppolo, because when it came time to make the throw, because we all know there's going to be a time in that Super Bowl he's going to have to make a play that Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't.
Put it on the poll, please. Who do you feel worst for today, Zay Flowers or the city of Detroit? Because the city of Detroit is waking up today with a feeling that's going to feel like just an empty sort of sickness. Let's put up this photo of Eminem at the game. shooting birds at everybody during a happier time when they were, I'm guessing they were winning at that point and things felt better.
I was thinking about this morning. There's a lot of different ways to give the finger, right? Like that's one of the meanest ways. That's like I really
with the
don't
saddles,
like you.
with the sides,
double kick stands.
Exactly. If you just do like one solo finger, it's like, oh, like hee hee.
Okay.
We were
just
robbed of a great celebrity musician matchup in the Super Bowl. The dichotomy of Taylor Swift and her fan base with Eminem and his fan base.
Right.
He should have leaned in. He should have started dating Sam Laporta.
Can you show for me, please, on video, because I don't know what happened here, Stugotz. Was this playful, what was happening before the game with Mahomes and Justin Tucker, where Justin Tucker is coming in with his kicking tees and he's putting them in Mahomes' area, and Mahomes and Kelce are going back and forth and they're pulling and kicking Tucker's tees? Is this a playful thing here?
A little gamesmanship, Dan, you know?
Because Chris Cody, what did you think here? Because it seems like Mahomes might be playing, but I don't know that Kelce is playing here.
It all seems playful to me. Justin Tucker seems to be smiling.
Right.
I feel like these guys have like hung out at Pro Bowls. I don't know. I didn't see this as like a real incident. This seemed playful.
A real incident.
I thought it was
where people have to be
incident.
separated and stuff. Like this is just guys having fun with each other.
The tell is the guy in the black coat that appears next to Justin Tucker after the second one, right? So the first one's like, hey, Justin Tucker laughs it off. He pats him on the back, and it's like a whole thing. Then look at the guy over there. See him at the right of the screen in the black coat. There you go. Watch him. The second time, he throws up his hands, and he's like, what's up? That guy was ready to throw down. Watch this. Oh, there he goes. Watch the hands. Here we go. They're coming now. If you're listening on the podcast, this makes no sense. There they are.
To me, what I saw here was just classic Travis Kelce wanting to get in on the attention. This is Mahomes messing with Tucker, and then Kelce kind of sees it. He's like, "Oh, I want to go do that too. This is fun. Oh, there's cameras getting this. Let me go be part of this." It's like Mahomes and Tucker were already doing this thing, and then
They're just doing a little Peanuts bit.
Yeah,
a comic strip happening.
Kelce injected himself.
I'm not
just like, I want some of its attention.
I'm not going to pretend to know what a field goal kicker's pregame routine is supposed to be. I just find that a very odd place to be warming up field goals with.
It's a 10-yard field goal from there.
I think Justin Tucker's got that one down.
Stugotz, when it comes to Dolphin analysis around here, I would say that it's probably not too much of a coincidence that all four of the teams that you were watching yesterday have dominant tight ends. The Dolphins do not have a dominant tight end.
They're a tight end away.
The thing that I wanted to ask you, though, as it relates to Kelce is, I don't want to get forgetful. I don't want to be prisoner of the moment, but Gronk is the best tight end we've ever seen, and Brady is the best quarterback we've ever seen. But how soon are the two guys in Kansas City, if they haven't already done it at tight end, how soon before they take over the conversation on I'm the best that there's ever been at that position?
I think Kelce is. For Mahomes, it's 5 Super Bowl victories from now.
I mean, he's not going to play till he's 45. Brady played in 10 Super Bowls. Mahomes is halfway there, and he's got, if he plays as long as Brady, he's got 15 more years to get to 10 Super Bowls played in. Like, I don't think anyone is going to play anymore as long as Brady does, and Mahomes' body isn't going to hold up because he doesn't play the same way that Tom Brady does. So it's unreasonable to expect him to even play into his early 40s, or any quarterback to play into their early 40s.
I mean, he's 1-2. Brady 1-7. He's got 5 to go, I guess. I maybe if we get to 5, we'll start having that conversation, but he still has to win 5 Super Bowls, Dan, and he has to win one without the Chiefs. He does. He has to get to 6 with the Chiefs and then go to a really bad team and win a Super Bowl in his first season with them, and then we can start discussing.
You'll always be able to say that Brady was 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, and one of them in the Super Bowl.
The only 2 losses that Mahomes has, he's 8-2 when he falls down in a playoff game by more than 7, and the only time he hasn't been able to recover is against Tom Brady. But Stugotz, you are someone who consistently, when it comes to quarterback play, you will never put anyone other than Brady there, because all you do by way of measurement, I understand it, is winning. Mm-hmm. Winning. Even though Tom Brady won one of those Super Bowls scoring 13 points.
But he won.
Yes. But I would say there are many people watching football these days who would say that the skill set that Mahomes has for a quarterback is better than Brady's. I think a lot of people listening to this would make the argument that he can beat you in more ways, and now he has this thing that Jessica's talking about at 28, which Brady didn't have this at 28. He's inevitable. He's 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls,
right?
Because don't bet against him. He's hard. This one is tough to come by. Brady got that later in his life. He didn't have it. His first Super Bowl run, Brady threw 1 touchdown past the entire playoff run. It took him a minute to get to where Mahomes is now. Mahomes is further along now than Brady was at the same age in terms of just evaluating the skill set.
Dan, you're right. Brady, that first season, the first Super Bowl, he replaced Drew Bledsoe. He was a game manager. I mean, that's really what he was. And Bill loved him because he didn't turn the ball over. And they ended up winning a Super Bowl. But Patrick Mahomes is not the reason. Dan, every team's different. And sometimes you need help. And Mahomes is no different. And this year, the defense is really helping him out.
They are helping him out. But what you just said about Brady, just don't turn the ball over. That's what Mahomes did yesterday.
100, and Lamar did.
But that's why
yes.
they won the game. Baltimore's defense isn't just great. They cause turnovers.
Yes.
Like, they're good at turnovers,
right.
And Mahomes didn't turn the ball over. But they did nothing in the second half except the one throw at the end of the 67 yards in a half, Stugotz, is dreadful. Baltimore's defense ransacked Kansas City the second half of that game. Kansas City won that game by simply winning the first half and then just watching Baltimore punch itself in the face the second half.
It was so interesting because you have the 2-time MVP versus Patrick Mahomes, and you figure offensive fireworks. You figure that. But these two defenses were 2 of the best in the NFL the entire season. And the game played out exactly like that, even with those 2 guys playing quarterback.
Jessica said shootout. She said shootout. It was 7-7 shootout.
I didn't
We all
say
felt it.
shootout.
Yeah.
Everyone else said shootout.
Your watch party, yes.
You would
Not the ball knowers.
Roma.
We all knew.
You would agree, Stugotz. I know we're talking about the Detroit disintegration, but Baltimore disintegrated.
Yes.
The taunting, the penalties, the stupid penalties, the turning the ball over twice in that kind of game in and around the end zone. I know Detroit, because they were the last game and because they were up 24-7, are going to be accused more of disintegrating today, but the way Baltimore played was super immature.
You know how I know the Chiefs are good? Because they did the fumble into the end zone and they still won the game. That's inevitability.
Everyone knows it's not Valentine's Day without the flowers, so whatever you do, don't be like me. Don't forget the flowers. Beat the Valentine's Day rush and order early at 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, at 1-800-Flowers, you can get up to 40% off a beautiful, gorgeous bouquet of one-of-a-kind arrangements that are guaranteed to wow your significant other. Please do not be like me. Don't put it off. Delivery dates are limited. Get up to 40% off today at 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan.
Dan Le Batard.
Did you watch me at NC State? I was all ACC. I don't have necessarily the mobility, but no one can see over the line like me.
Michael, the ACC network job is a good job. It's a stable job.
I'm ready to pack it in. I've got a lot of good football left in me.
My footwork is underrated.
I can step up in the pocket with the best of them. No one can scan the field like me.
But wouldn't it be nice to be around the family more often and not have to worry about any injuries?
Babe, just give me one more season.
Stugotz.
Tell you what, I'm not going to therapy. I'm not. Therapy is not happening. Sorry. You need to work on you. There's one person pulling the rope for this family right here, and it's Mike Glennon.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Stugotz, there are a number of things about Brock Purdy that I find puzzling, including the way all of the measurements at that position have changed over the last few years that make it hard for people to identify whether the quarterback is good by himself,
right,
or whether he's a product of the system. And then we start doing the pie chart on how much of this is he responsible for, how much is the coach responsible for. But nothing is more confusing to me about Brock Purdy than the incredible passion people have about wanting him to not be as good as some others think he might be. This is the last pick in the draft. This is an underdog story. This has some of the Tom Brady elements to it. And when Tom Brady started, he was a system quarterback.
Yes.
And then he got so many reps that he became what he became. But I am genuinely puzzled. Why wouldn't you root for the guy who was the last pick in the draft to be great, unless the thing that's most important to you is that your assessment of how good someone is has to be exactly right without any dilution by degrees, and that's the most important thing, not that the guy who's kind of a great story seems to be pretty good and is exceeding every expectation except for yours, because you don't want him to be better than you think he is.
You nailed it.
I don't get that. Like, what's happening there? And give me someone else that the coverage of that person is like that. There are some people, Shannon Sharp among them, so invested in the idea he shouldn't be the reason they win, when yesterday, kind of the reason they won.
A lucky pass. I mean,
okay, but kind of the reason they won. The same pass that Garoppolo didn't get lucky on in the Super Bowl and lost to Mahomes.
Right.
He got lucky that it bounced off a face mask and he advances. But you understand what I'm asking you, right? I don't get the coverage of him. Why root against this person being excellent? Why root so hard to be right that you want him to lose that game?
I think this person was going against America's team yesterday in particular, and everyone wanted to see Detroit win. Therefore, they are not happy that Brock Purdy not only won, but was a reason.
I'm not talking about just yesterday, though.
Because, Dan,
it's all the coverage of Purdy.
I'll explain it to you. I think there's a tinge of jealousy because Kyle Shanahan makes it look very easy and does a lot of winning with average to below average quarterbacks in people's minds. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. Why can't I have a coach like that? That guy is not that good. That coach, that system makes him good, and that frustrates a lot of people.
It's this thing we're doing with quarterbacks, and I think Purdy is the perfect example of it, because you can have a circular argument about, like, but Shanahan, but the 49ers, but Purdy, but Garoppolo, but Trey Lance, and then you end up back at Brock Purdy doing a really good job on a team where, we're giving him credit. We're not giving him credit when they win, but when they lose, it's because he played bad. Like half of the Packers game last week. And so we just end up back where we started every time a conversation starts about him, because no one knows really how to discuss the fact that, he's very good. He's doing a job that's very hard. And for the most part, he's doing it really well. And the things that he excels at, not everyone can do. However, he's not doing the things that we can just look at and be like, wow, look at that throw by Patrick Mahomes. That was insane. No one else can do that. Or look at that run by Josh Allen. How does he steamroll defenders like that? And he just ends up in this weird place where we just don't know how to talk about it.
There's just no pleasing people for him. He was getting mocked for his outfit yesterday, and I think we have a shot of it. It's a totally fine outfit he's wearing yesterday, and just eviscerated. If this is bad, I have no shot at life. If we're getting made fun of for this, what's wrong with this?
It's not that it looks bad, but it does look like he is headed at 5 a.m. to his crew meet at Oxford.
It's a quarter zip. Just to describe it to people not watching, it's a blue quarter zip, but then he's got a warm shade shacket on with big pockets. It's a little bit of a. I guess I
to me,
what
this is
saying,
just
Chris.
this is just don't comment on it. It's not great fashion, but it's not terrible. To me, that outfit is just, nobody should say anything about it. Just let him live his life.
It's Brock Purdy.
But if this is getting mocked, there's nothing he can do.
No, but it's the blue and the tan thing don't go.
It goes.
Shit, that's what I'm wearing today.
I'm stunned at the discourse around him, primarily because there is a discourse around him. You couldn't find a more unassuming looking or acting person to have such passion behind the debates, where I think we can all agree it's really cool. Mr. Irrelevant got to a Super Bowl this early in his career.
But the Lions would have been cooler, I think.
But it started midway through the season when the MVP conversation, I think, is what really wrinkled a lot of people. The fact that he was part of that conversation at all, even though a lot of times by default, the quarterback from the best team in the NFL gets considered for the MVP. And at that point in the season, the 49ers were really standing out in that aspect. So I think that's kind of where it all started. But also, like, I think this was a little bit of the conversation last year, too. And as you saw in the game where he broke his elbow and like in the NFC Championship last year, like that, obviously they had to put in their 4th-string quarterback, so it made a huge difference. And then he came back from a horrible injury this year and is still leading his team to the Super Bowl. And it's like there's still some weird conversation to be had about it. Even like I'm with Mike. I kind of want to just be like, cool, good for him. That's cool.
No, Mike is right. Mike's on the right side of this. We should all be celebrating this. The fact that this guy is headed to the Super Bowl. He has 44 touchdowns and 15 interceptions in his first 2 seasons. That's ridiculous.
Half of those interceptions happened on one of the most viewed Monday night games ever, which is where there was always a weird discourse around Brock Purdy, and then it just got hyper loud. But I kind of agree with everybody here. Not just scrappy underdog last pick in the NFL draft, also bouncing back from an injury. That is going up against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And we're not having this crazy, it's not leading Good Morning America. This is the American dream personified. It should be something that is viewed almost universally as a really cool, positive story.
How are the Chiefs underdogs?
It's only 2 points.
Is Purdy the most is Purdy the most boring Super Bowl playing quarterback ever?
Stan Humphries.
Chris Chandler.
Okay.
Got your ass. I do think like part of the conversation is like, well, if Brock Purdy were on the Chiefs, like they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl. And it's like, well, he's not. And his team is in the Super Bowl. And that's pretty cool. Yep. So what are we doing? Cool. We're just making up hypothetical situations to like argue against each other.
And people are not all about this matchup.
Which is what sports is all about, really. I love it.
Yes, it is.
People are not about this matchup, I guess because they wanted to see Lamar and they wanted to see the Lions.
I think because we just had it, too. Like, we just watched a 49ers-Chiefs Super Bowl.
But it's different now. In terms of roster construction, you're seeing what happens to a roster as you systematically have to strip away key pieces because the quarterback's contract gets bigger and bigger. This is a different Chiefs team. Their offense looks a hell of a lot different now. And you have the other side of the coin, the rookie contract. We can exploit that inefficiency. If we have a guy that wins at this contract that sees him taking home just over $500,000 after taxes, we can build this mega team around him. It's 2 totally different ways to build your team. And when you look at the head coaches, you could not ask for a better matchup. I just love this Super Bowl, and I hate that people are down on it because they wanted the underdog story when Brock Purdy is the underdog story.
I feel the way about, if I could make a comparison that maybe some people won't like, I feel the way about Brock Purdy that I feel about Barbie. He's doing a good job. He's done really well. He's good. Barbie, good movie. I liked it.
I don't
know if I need to say more than that. People are going to get mad at me no matter what, but they're both good.
Dan, I'm worried about fashion next week when we started this talking about what Brock Purdy was wearing.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm a little bit worried about the circus that is going to be this cruise fashion shows that everyone's going to be putting on for themselves. Like I feel
you can't just show up like Brock Purdy. Like I want to be like Brock Purdy. Let me just wear something. No one can.
Exactly.
But it's got to be all like a Tony with their style. Like
I've been planning my outfits for Vegas for like 6 or 7 weeks.
Dan,
I'll be wearing this.
You got your outfits planned for Thursday, Friday shows, Dan?
The stylist is on it.
I have a lot of concerns in general about everything Super Bowl related. Billy was telling me, and I don't know which one we wanted to root for, that we were very close to having a Detroit Lions hotel because Circa evidently has a lot of Detroit Lion connections, and we were very close to having a huge party atmosphere where it is that we were independent of anything that we were doing.
I was told that the owner's from Detroit and is a big Lions fan, also a big fan of the show, I was told. And had the Lions made it to the Super Bowl, I imagine that would have been like Lions Central, and it would have been a home base for the Lions. So early in that game, it looked like, wow, this is going to be a very rowdy atmosphere if we're at like an unofficial team hotel, but then the Lions didn't win. So
can we talk about the fact that Mina might have jinxed them? Did you guys see her tweet?
I hate jinx stuff, but please.
She tweeted, "I can't believe we might start and finish the season with a Lions-Chiefs game."
So might, she limped in with the verb
just
might.
Don't say anything.
Might is a
You don't
jinx.
say anything.
You don't say anything?
No, nothing.
Okay.
But everyone's planning.
Well, she didn't say might. I didn't read it verbatim.
Everyone's planning these fashion shows. Has anyone looked at what the weather might be? Because yesterday I saw videos from Stadium Swim, and it was a beautiful 70-degree day.
Nice.
And it looked amazing out there. But people forget that Las Vegas can get cold.
Well, let me ask the question of the group here, because this is chief among my concerns, and I've got many of them. How much, put this on the poll, please, Juju, at Batard Show, do you trust the 14-day forecast? Because I haven't checked since, but 14 days ago, this is what I saw, and it mortified me. Everything 12 days out is fine. Then it grows to 40 and 50-degree weather with 18 and 19 mile per hour winds, and the sun gets covered by clouds in the 14-day forecast. But I have
Don't look today because it's supposed to rain.
I have no earthly idea how accurate the 14-day forecasts
Weather people make
are.
that shit up all the time. Don't worry about it.
It's
It doesn't
accurate.
matter.
It's
day to
accurate,
day.
Dan.
You don't need to. Don't
There's
pay
a cold
attention.
front coming in.
Yeah, allegedly until it doesn't, and then I never said that.
I think they have an idea like through 5 days, but once you get to like day 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, they're guessing.
It's a guessing game. Day
they're
to day is a guessing game.
They
I'm
have no
telling you.
idea.
Exactly right.
You can throw whatever weather at me. There's no such thing as a bad day in Vegas. I was out there for a Skylar Thompson playoff start, and it was 45 degrees, and the wind was howling, and I was at Stadium Swim. I had an amazing time.
The internet says a 7-day forecast has an 80% of the time. 5-day forecast 90%, but anything a 10-day or longer is about half right.
Thank you.
None of that's true.
If you'd like to freeze with us at Stadium Swim at Circa Hotel, February 8th and 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. By the way, we can now gear this towards markets. Kansas City. And I know Stugotz is quite the popular figure among the 49er faithful.
I should be.
No, they hate you. We're going to be out there at Stadium Swim.
Both fan bases.
Why would they hate you?
Yeah.
I gave the Chiefs the motivation they needed. I did.
CircaLasVegas.com/LeBatard to reserve your tickets now.
Don Le Batard.
Kiss me where you bruise me. Taste me on that fleshy part.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Taste me on that fleshy part.
Taste me, not touch me.
Taste me on that fleshy part.
Wow.
Wow, Bruce.
Stugotz.
I'm talking about the clitoris. I'm talking about the clitoris. Yes, I am. Now we're out here riffing, and I'm gonna try to find it if I can.
Okay. Well, wonderful rendition.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
What could possibly go wrong with a lot of electrical equipment in rain?
Oh, Dan, don't be this guy.
Come on.
Don't be this guy.
We're going to have
I'm just scared.
There's
What-
I know.
Why can't I be scared? When I look
There
at-
is a dark cloud hanging over this Super Bowl broadcast, and its name is Dan Le Batard. There is no such thing as a bad day in Vegas, as I just said.
You'll still find a way to sweat.
Let's have fun.
There's also pools around
Yeah.
us, so like there's going to be water there regardless.
Let's lean in. I almost rather it be 36 degrees and howling winds. Let's make it memorable, guys.
Gotta
What is
dig
wrong
deep.
with
Yeah.
you? I know that it's going to be cold because Chris Cody's been texting me, asking me like, "Hey, what should I wear?"
No, I was just like, what are you thinking? I just picture her being on top of it with like the temperature. What are you thinking we're gonna get? Because I'm looking at the forecast, but it's like, Jess, what are we gonna get for the live show?
Aren't we presently today getting the coldest winter day we've gotten in South Florida by it being in the low 50s? Is that not the coldest that it's been in South Florida? I understand you're wearing shorts, Jessica, and this is shorts weather for you. But is this not the coldest South Florida day we've had? Because I'm assuming that Chris Cody has things in his closet that don't get used for years at a time, that he's going to be breaking out something that usually doesn't get worn because we don't have cold days in South Florida.
No, I've bought some stuff because I'm feeling the pressure from around here to look stylish. Just the
Tony and Mike Fuentes
Yeah.
on Mystery
What?
Crate.
Well,
Yep.
Dan also got a stylist, and he
I did not
establishes
get
the
a
bar.
stylist.
You're
I
wearing
know.
a hoodie
Come
today.
on.
I've never seen you wear a
Admit
hoodie
it.
before.
I mean, what's the big deal?
This is one
And
of
today
my
you really
brothers.
mailed it in. Your
This
stylist is gonna be mad.
One of my brother's hoodies, and my wife is my stylist. I don't have a stylist.
Oh, so
you
you just confirmed you have a stylist.
I mean, she bought me clothes for our anniversary and for my birthday and for Christmas.
What does she charge you to be your stylist?
everything. She gets all of it.
But it dips into the 50s, and we don't have clothes for that down here.
I went on a date I wanted to tell you guys about on Saturday that was magical because
Does your wife know?
I think at some point when you're married, it becomes a date night.
Really?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a date.
I'm with Chris.
Yeah, then we'll get the link.
I
up.
had a date night with my wife.
Let's see where it goes, though.
Sorry.
Dania is where it went.
Huh.
That's the look I was expecting
Really?
from you, Chris Cody.
Comedy show?
Yes.
You guys do the fun thing where you pick stuff out of a hat, like, oh, where are we going tonight? Date night. Oh, Dania.
No, we were going to the Dania Improv, and we left a couple of hours early. And when you leave a couple of hours early for Dania, there's not a lot to do in Dania.
Just highlight. They still have that?
Well, they
There's a
have
Sephora there.
they have the Fronton, which has been modernized. You wouldn't recognize it if you went there. It's a legitimate casino now. But we were headed over there, and we saw on a billboard a concert was happening right then, that minute, as we were driving by. And so we're like, all right, this should be funny. And that's how Saturday night I ended up at a concert for Quiet Riot,
Nice.
celebrating 40 years of mental health. They are old rockers, and it's a little hard to explain. And they brought it, and they had great energy, and they were enthusiastic about being there. But Chris, this was at the former Dania Highlight Fronton. That's where it was, in something that felt like either a banquet hall. I'll call it an auditorium to be kind, but it was more of a banquet hall. And I'm asking you guys, what do you imagine would be? I don't know how old these guys are. They just put a picture up on the screen. That was about 20 years ago, the picture that they just put up on the screen. These guys are old rockers. Again, celebrating 40 years of mental health is what the celebration of the tour was. And Mike, you go to concerts all the time. Metal, I would assume, ages more poorly than other kinds of music with the oldest of rockers. Bringing that sort of energy, I'm going to guess those guys are close to 70.
Yeah, well, what tends to not age well is a vocalist. Anyone that's seen this incarnation of GNR and seen Axl continue to insist on a 3.5-hour set where his voice is taxed by the end. And because of TikTok, Motley Crue concerts have also gotten pretty popular, trying to understand and decipher what Vince Neil is going to say. But I haven't seen Quiet Riot. I do enjoy the Aging Legacy act. I think it's great nostalgia. They don't need to sing well. We'll do the singing. So when Come Feel the Noise came on, were you just out your chair feeling the noise?
Unfortunately, we had to leave before that was over.
That's the only reason you go.
That's a tough look.
Yeah,
What's the matter with you?
I had to get to the comedy
Watching
show.
the B-sides for Quiet Riot.
I mean, that's the moment you pull out your lighter, you sing along with the crowd, you sing with the band. Kevin Dubois, by the way, I think is the lead singer of Quiet Riot. He's 52 years old. Not as old as you would think.
Oh, that's much younger than I thought he was. He did not look 50.
Well, they live hard, despite the health.
There's a 73-year-old, so I feel like some of these may be new members of the Riot. You know what I mean?
You always want to look at like how many original members, because
Are we still doing lighters or cell phone lights?
Cell phone
now,
lights.
right? Yeah.
Put it on the
Stu's
poll.
still-
He's still
At
doing
Quiet
very-
Riot, you have
if you
to.
have a
I mean, you pull
lighter.
a cell phone out, they'll stare at you straight.
Chris, thank you for bringing that up, because the single funniest thing at this show was the crowd. Because I want you to imagine, how do you think?
Greg Cody's.
How do you, well, just no, the person who was into metal when they were 19 years old, how do you think the last 40 years have treated that person?
Did you see, speaking of aging bands, did you see the Kid and Play video that's going around from this past weekend?
It's so good. It's so sad. Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Does the aging legacy act in rock and roll make you sad? But fine for me. Video, please.
you guys better be careful We're about to be the legacy aging podcast act.
That's right. We're very close.
We're about there to the 20th anniversary tour.
We got a lot of new members.
kind.
We got a lot of.
It's our final tour. Milk that thing for
See
a
it
few
in
years.
Vegas. See it in Vegas.
All the seminal moments. Such hits from our first album that changed your lives, such as grading 80s songs with Pat Riley.
We're kicking off our 5-year farewell tour.
We're in our
at the Super Bowl.
residency era.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys better play Chidi Ahanatu at the concert.
Can you guys in video get for me that video, Stugotz? This will make you feel old. Of Kid. Again, one of the members of this act is named, goes by the name Kid. He is no longer a kid. And the other one is Play. Jessica, are you even familiar with Kid and Play?
I don't know what's happening right now. I was going to say, if we're talking about old people that look older than they are, we should bring up the Greg Cody illustration. That's in one of our new little
Oh, they have it here.
Oh, there it is.
It's Angel Resto.
It's
What did you do to my
He gave him a liver spot.
Liver spot, right on the right cheek.
I mean, that is so cruel.
The wiry eyebrows.
That looks a little like my father.
It
does.
Closer,
Yes.
yeah.
We need to show that to Greg tomorrow.
It's
It will
corpse-like.
offend
Do you, know
him.
how, do you know how different he looked the last time the Chiefs and Niners played in the Super Bowl? That shows you how much has happened.
Kid is 59 years old.
Wait till I show you this video of Kid and Play. I don't know what that dance is called. Billy, do you have
It's
any
called the
idea?
Kid and Play.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like when you zoom into a meeting, even though you're using a different platform, it's always going to be zooming. That dance move is the Kid and Play. And Kid and Play, are you not? I forget which insurance they're doing a commercial for. Which probably really annoys whoever came up with that idea. But there's a commercial that they're in, and the whole thing is it's Kid and Play. They're having a house party. And I forget which one has a really bad dye job.
Video, when you do find that, just put it in the corner of the screen and just leave it there for people, because I know that we didn't warn you that this was coming, so it's going to take a minute to find and pair it against whatever it is that dance looked like 30 years ago when they were doing the Kid and Play. But the reason that I went, Stugotz, beyond needing a couple of hours to kill and being in Dania, where it can be hard to find a couple of hours to kill if you are lactose intolerant and don't want to go to Jackson's Ice Cream.
Oh, that place is good.
So good, though.
Oh, my God. Yes, it is wonderful.
Oh, I've been to Jackson's.
It's worth the risk if you're lactose intolerant.
No doubt.
Right? Like that's
Yes.
one that you go, you know what? I'll deal with the repercussions of this
Tummy Ache
decision.
City.
Exactly right.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is if you're lactose intolerant, is Jackson's Ice Cream the only thing that's worth the risk? But the reason, Stugotz, I went is because I simply was hoping to run into a high school burnout of mine, any of them, from whenever in the 80s. These people were into Quiet Riot because Come On Feel the Noise was dangerous when you spell it C-U-M. And the crowd at this thing, Stugotz, because Quiet Riot themselves, vocalist, still bringing it strong. He is not deteriorated, not that much anyway. But it was absolutely the crowd that was worth watching, because the metal crowd, I'm guessing maybe Metallica's crowd ages okay here, but if you're Quiet Riot, it's a specific kind of crowd. If you love the hair bands of the 80s, if it's going to be Poison or Whitesnake or one of these, that's not even those are not even legacy. Well, Poison would be a legacy act, I suppose, but the Whitesnake doesn't get to be a legacy act, do they?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
If they're still out there doing their thing. Whitesnake, are you kidding?
If you
So
played
many hits.
Seminole Coconut Creek Casino, you are a legacy act, my friend.
I feel like Green Day is a legacy act at this point.
No. Put it on the poll. Is Green Day so old that they're a legacy act already?
Think
Blink
so.
182.
Yeah, I mean they're still out there getting contemporary airplay on alt rock stations, but yeah, it's not an insult to say you're a legacy act. If anything, it's a compliment. I don't know why people would take exception to that. I go to a music festival in Daytona every year called Welcome to Rockville, and occasionally you'll see like the cross section between like alt metal, new metal from the early 2000s and legacy acts. Like I'm watching Judas Priest there, and I can't wait to see them.
Stugotz, here you go. Watch on the screen here. These used to be young people, Kid and Play, dancing and doing the Kid and Play dance here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they are not moving real fast.
Let's see you guys do it.
Look for the hamstring grab at the end.
Oh, he pulled the hammy. He did.
One more time. Stay with it for the pulled hammy.
Right at the
Come
end.
for the
Look
kid
at
and
the
play.
right,
Stay for the pulled hammy.
Look at play after when he goes to start singing. There's a slight grab here. Wait, hold on. He plays it off. There's a little bit.
Grab
Hold
the
on.
mic.